Welcome gamers to this Zelda A Link to the Past randomizer match between Rayzus and Maji. This is a Gold Sword Bracket Round 1 match as part of the GOMO Podcast Mentor Tournament 2024. This is one of the first matches that happened, and we are doing a rewatch of it, in case you didn't catch it live. I am DDR Kirby. I'm going to be commentating back this race today, and we'll see what these runners have for us. I believe the game mode selected is Casual Boots, so both our runners will be starting with the escape sequence. Be trying to get everything synced up here. As far as these two runners' positions in the tournament, we've got Rayzus with an undefeated record through the 6 weeks of Swiss rounds. And Maji, I believe, is 4-2. This is, of course, the gold bracket of the Mentor Tournament, so definitely some of the strongest runners here, and we'll probably be seeing a lot of that through the Casual Boots escape sequence. Want to be looking for some clean dash lines and some solid execution here. Both runners off to a pretty good start. And Uncle just has 20 rupees, some pocket change for us. Now, of course, the escape sequence is going to be a part of the game that is 100% replicable. It's something that is, of course, really important practice, since you're going to be doing it every seed in Casual Boots mode. But it is overall just a small portion of the seed. So even if one runner falls behind here, it doesn't mean the end of the world, but it'll be a chance to see which one of these runners is a little bit more on point with their game today. Important to note that this is both of these runners' first bracket match, so up until now they have been in Swiss rounds with a mentor in their ear, and of course that is no longer the case. These runners are on their own, so they will not have a coach guiding them along the way. We'll see how the runners adapt to that new situation. For some runners, I feel like it could be almost relaxing, not having to, discuss their plays and just being able to play their own game. But for other runners, it might be a little bit nerve-wracking to be in brackets on their own without someone looking over the shoulder. So we'll see what happens with these two. Both runners pretty much still tied up, neck and neck in the same rooms. Coming up on the ball and chain guard, guarding Zelda's cell. There are a few different strats that you can use for this room. The safest strat will be to use 2 pots, but the more advanced runners will go for sword slashes. 8 sword slashes will take care of the guard. Looks like Rayzus is going for those 8 slashes, and it looks like we have Maji doing a hybrid strat of 4 slashes and 1 pot. Maji getting a little bit bothered by that green guard, unfortunately. But both of these runners will make it out of the room with enough hearts to spare, no problems. And with Zelda in tow, we are heading back to the throne room. Both runners have picked up 3 bombs from one of the chests along the way, so there won't be any need to worry about farming bombs for Kakariko Village, which I'm almost certain will be both of these runners' next steps. Barring any crazy off-meta plays. Looks like Ray is going to pull a little bit ahead here, off to a 1-room advantage. Our audio today is being provided by Rayzus. I am generally just going to use the higher-seeded runners' audio, assuming that it is clean. And it looks like we are using the Final Fantasy VI MSU pack. Definitely a game that is filled with some really good tunes. It looks like both runners are synced totally back up again, entering the sewers at exactly the same time. Ooh, unfortunately, Maji takes a bonk on that doorway. Was not quite perfectly aligned. Not the end of the world, but does lose a bit of time there. Now in this section, there is a chest in Dark Cross, and this is an opportunity to set up a key dash. We'll see if both runners go for it. Looks like Ray was going for it, but accidentally gets knocked off course by one of the enemies. That's unfortunate. Both runners narrowly dodging, getting hit by that little rat there. Ray is going for the key dash here. That's nice to see. Did take a little bit of a split second to set that up, but manages to make up a little bit of ground there. And in the back we've got Blue Mail and a bow. Not a bad find in the back of Escape here. That bow, of course, will let both of our runners full clear the Eastern Palace dungeon. We'll see if they opt to do that. Probably depends heavily on whether Eastern Palace holds a pendant or a crystal. And that blue mail definitely going to come in handy as we get to the harder sections of the game. We definitely want more defense. Looks like both runners coming out of Escape with a around 520 in terms of time. Certainly nothing to shake a stick at. Don't believe we've gotten a map check from either runner. That will become relevant pretty soon, I'm imagining. As if Eastern Palace is a crystal, that is probably going to be one of the first priorities on both these runners' minds, as it is full clearable with that bow. Of course, it will be out of logic, considering both of our runners don't have any way of navigating the dark rooms in Eastern Palace in logic, but I'd assume runners in the gold bracket of this caliber will know how to do at least the Eastern Palace dark rooms, if not many of the dark rooms in this game. Looks like our bush crab prize is actually fairies. That's really rare. That, I believe, is a 1 in 63 chance. It's not every day you see that one. Both runners here electing to check the item on Lumberjack Cave, which is just a piece of heart, I believe, so not going to be needing to pick that up. I do see most runners elect to check that item in the casual boots mode, as you are that much closer to being able to access it, given that you already have sword and boots on hand. Both runners going to be electing to pick up that red rupee here in the mushroom spot in Lost Woods. And we'll see both runners going off to Kakariko. I'm assuming after Kakariko, both runners are almost assuredly going to be heading over to Eastern Palace, assuming that it is a crystal, and it looks like all 3 light roll dungeons are crystals this seed. Of course, in order to finish the game, we need to collect all 7 of the crystals, so we definitely want to be prioritizing those crystal dungeons, as those are hard required in order to beat Ganon. Now, as expected, both runners going into Kakariko. We'll see if we find anything interesting over here. Starting off with just some money. I will say that money, it can be a little bit more of an immediate concern in casual boots mode, as often an early play is to go to Mini Moldorm Cave and Ice Rod Cave, sort of the South Shore checks, as we call them. And once you get to Ice Rod Cave, if you do have the boots on hand, you can elect to do a water walk to the Zora domain area. And of course, that is going to be more rewarding if you happen to have 500 rupees to get the item on Zora. So I do see that early money is a little bit more of a concern early on in casual boots mode. But of course, there are many other ways that these runners could take the seed, and they might not elect to do that route. Looks like we've got a hammer and a master sword, and another sword upgrade in the well in Kakariko Village. That hammer, of course, is one of the pieces that our runners will need to get access to the Dark World. They're also going to need access to the Moon Pearl in order to be able to walk around and not be in bunny form, as well as the glove. Of course, it's not guaranteed that that will be their Dark World access. There's still room for this to become an Agna Seed, especially since both of our runners do have the Master Sword already. That is one piece of the puzzle for being able to clear Aghanim's tower and get access to the Dark World that way. But our runners will still need a lamp in order to logically do that. Some nice dashing behind the library by Rayzeus. Maji electing instead to slash those bushes, which is slightly slower, but definitely a little bit easier. Now we have an interesting decision here. Rayzeus electing to scout the item on Ray's game and gets to see that it's just rupees and save and quit immediately, whereas Maji is instead electing to blind check this item. Is going to lose a bit of time on this, unfortunately, as it's just rupees, but they may elect to just get that since they've already gone through the game. And yes, like expected, they do pick up those 50 rupees. We'll see if that ends up making a difference, but I imagine it won't, given that Rayzeus is already at 217 rupees. Alright, so Ray is going to go to Eastern Palace, and Maji looks like they are electing not to do that, instead going to the South Shore checks. So Rayzeus here prioritizing their full clearable Crystal Dungeon. Maji, I guess, wants to either chase density or get some more equipment. This is potentially, being nervous of a dip into Eastern Palace with only 3 hearts. As, even if those dark rooms in Eastern Palace aren't the most difficult, you do often have to do a damage boost with the... you often go for a damage boost in the Vanilla Big Key chest room, and that can take up some hearts from you. Maji finding the Book of Mudora there on the dam. That is going to give us access into Desert Palace, but of course we're missing a fire source and a glove in order to full clear it. Ray just finding some bombs at Eastern Palace so far, but we'll see if anything else is in the dungeon. Maji making great use of those sword beams, since they have full health and Master Sword to take down those mini Moldorms. And there is a hookshot and flippers in Mini Moldorm Cave. Wow. Lots of really good use for these runners. And a sword! Alright. Definitely a pretty stacked Mini Moldorm Cave. Now, Maji is going to be able to gain a little bit of time on Rayzeus later when they go to Eastern Palace, as in the room that Rayzeus is in right now, you can collect that chest via a shorter path if you do have the hookshot on hand. That hookshot is also going to come in big when our runners get access to Death Mountain, as it'll allow Maji to hookshot over to the right side. As I mentioned earlier, Maji does have the opportunity to set up a water walk here, but probably is going to actually elect to take it. This is an interesting decision, as they are most likely going to be orphaning the... never mind, they do have the flippers. Okay, so since they have the flippers, they are actually going to swim here and activate their water walk here. We'll see what they decide to do with their water walk usage here. Since you have the flippers, you can't actually water walk all the way to the Zora area, so I imagine they are going to be heading to Hobo now. Looks like they are going to do that. Rayzeus going to be navigating this dark room. I heard the key drop, so they just have to find it in the dark. There it is, and they're through the pot, and I heard the door open, and there they are. I wasn't quite paying attention, but it looks like Ray didn't... From what I remember, Ray did not do the Vanilla Big Key chest. I don't think, unless I was just totally missed it. Which means that they are taking the Eastern Palace 50-50 and going to Armos Knights first. Of course, the one remaining item that they have in Eastern Palace could either be on the boss of the dungeon, Armos Knights here, or it could be in that Vanilla Big Key chest that they did skip If it is left behind in the vanilla big key chest, we'll see if they decide to go back for it. But it is on Armos Knights, so they are going to be able to save a little bit of time there. Meanwhile, Maji finding the Moon Pearl in Waterfall Cave. So it looks like the flippers in Mini Moldorm Cave leading to our Moon Pearl in Waterfall. That puts us one step closer to that Dark World access. And actually, Maji is going to be able to check Zora here, given that there are 300 rupees on Zora Ledge. That is really convenient, actually, as without that, they would have had to leave this check behind. Now Ray is in pretty much the exact same situation. We'll see if they end up recreating Maji's steps or whether they elect to stay away from Zora's domain, given that they don't yet have money for that for this check. Of course, Maji is going to have to kind of reroute this area after collecting those rupees, but definitely a good idea to check Zora while you've got a chance here. Maji, unfortunately, still at 3 hearts, actually. Ray did manage to pick up a 4th one. I wonder if that was at Saha. That was in Saha's closet. We'll see if Maji feels comfortable doing the dive into Eastern Palace now. Just bombs on Zora, so not a huge deal. Ray, unfortunately, won't have sword beams for Mini Moldorm Cave, but does have access to a Master Sword and bow. So should be able to clear this out, no problems, although it looks like it's going to take a little bit longer than it did for Maji. And Maji is going to make it over. Oh, nice bonk by Rayzeus to get over that chasm there. Maji is going to head over to the Eastern Palace area, armed with that Tempered Sword. Of course, Tempered Sword not really going to make a huge difference in Eastern Palace, as there are no real strong enemies there, and you generally take down Armos Knights with the bow and arrows. But as we mentioned before, they are going to be able to use the hookshot to save a little bit of time. Rayzeus did check the stun prize on the way over here to Ice Rod Cave, and it is just a heart. Can be useful knowledge to know. It's like Maji just was able to see that as well, using the hookshot to stun that little moving statue there, and seeing that it did drop a heart afterward. Can definitely be relevant, especially considering that both of these runners are on 4 hearts. It looks like Rayzeus is going to take that water walk. Imagine they're going to do essentially the same sequence of checks that Maji did. So both runners basically just doing the same things, but in a different order. Maji electing to use the Cannon Burna for a nice dash through the cannonballs. It's a pretty slick strat, and it looks like they're going to do it again here. Or, oh, okay, they just get hit by the cannonball that time. Okay. Sometimes you can just try to dash through the cannonballs and see what the RNG gods do. Sometimes you can actually get knocked northward by the cannonballs. And here we do see that Maji is going to make use of that hookshot to get to this chest a little bit faster. So overall, Maji's route did work out very slightly better just because of that one room, but of course, in all other respects, these two are basically even in terms of routing divergence. Ray is going to elect to swim to the Zora area. And is probably going to breathe a sigh of relief when they see that 300 rupees on Zora Ledge. There's their Moon Pearl. And now the real question is where our runners will be off to next. And there's really only one answer, and that is Desert Palace. It's a pretty linear seed so far. Our runners don't really have access to anything else after this. Maji is actually going to go ahead and do the more conservative route for Eastern Palace. They are going to go ahead and check the Vanilla Big Key chest. That actually does put them quite a bit behind, as this is a slow check. I believe it takes about a minute to go out of your way to get this. And that is, you know, a minute or 50 seconds that Rezus was able to skip altogether by checking Armos Knights first. So we'll see Maji. We'll see if Maji goes for this damage boost. Oh, making good use of the Cane of Burna. Very smart. And unfortunately, that chest is just Compass. So it came all that way, kind of for nothing. But of course, that is the more conservative way to route this dungeon. And Ray gonna pick up their bombs from Zora. And then we'll head over to Desert Palace, and we'll be the first to head over to Desert Palace. I'm assuming... Well, I was gonna say I'm assuming that our runners will find the glove at Desert Palace, but that's actually not guaranteed at all. Our runners could definitely find the lamp at Desert Palace. That would be nice in one way, as they'd be able to just full clear Desert Palace right then and there and take down Lanmo. But it would be not so nice because that means that they will have to complete Aghanim's Tower and defeat Aga 1 in order to get their Darkhold access. They do kind of have the trifecta, you know, actually, they have kind of all the items that will give them very good Darkhold access after beating Aga, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the seed goes. Maji trying to line up for this Armos Knights fight. We'll see how that goes. And doesn't go for the quick kill, but cleans up the fight pretty quickly nonetheless. Good job, Maji, and both runners are 1-1 in terms of crystals gotten. Rezus does get that glove, so that means our runners will not be doing Aga 1 today. There's that big key. We'll see our runners probably are going to clear out as much of Desert Palace as they can since they're already here, but without a light source, they won't be able to clear, they won't be able to beat Lanmo. So the next stop will either be going to the Dark World or heading up the mountain out of Logic. Now there are definitely arguments for either way. Looks like Rezus is not going to go to the right side here. Interesting choice. I believe there's still one item left in Desert Palace. But I guess they want to check they just want to go and check Agina. Not interested in going to the right side. This is an interesting decision. I guess the logic here is that you can come back to it later and just defeat Lanmo first, and if Lanmo's the last item, then you're all done. And I guess Rezus wants to prioritize either going up the mountain or going to the Dark World. Maji gonna route things a little bit differently and is gonna check Agina first. Now the walk out of Agina's cave is a little bit slow, but that means they are probably going to be a little bit more incentivized to find that last remaining item in Desert Palace, as they won't. They'll be able to just save and quit out of there. Rezus is going to elect to stay in Logic and head to the Dark World here, starting off with Hype Cave. This is certainly a very reasonable decision. Putting off the mountain does mean that you have the chance of perhaps finding your Titan's Mitts before you go up there, which will make it a lot more profitable. Let's see what Hype Cave has for us today. We have the Piece of Hearts, 300 rupees, that's not unwelcome. Those rupees could actually become relevant as Rezus's possible next step is a full clearable pod. Now, unfortunately, it's like, well, first of all, pod is a green pendant, so maybe not so much of a priority, but even if it was a crystal, Rezus doesn't have much in terms of equipment that'll help him get through the dark rooms in pod, and with only 4 hearts, it might be something he wants to stay out of, even though pod is full clearable right now, technically, out of Logic. And Rezus does elect to stay away from pod, which is pretty much what I would do as well. 4 hearts, dark room, turtle dark room is not something that I want to be reliant on having to do. Magi is going to head over to the right side of Desert Palace. If this has something big, this could be really bad for Rezus. We've got the map, so that means we'll see whether this chest is the remaining item or whether it's on Lanmo. It is the remaining item, but it is just a red rupee, so Rezus actually going to save a little bit of time on that here. We'll see if Rezus ends up going back to that later in the seed, but it could just be a lot later, potentially when they're clearing out Mire. And Magi is going to elect to do a different start here. They might actually be going up the mountain here. This looks like going up the mountain, so Magi gonna break out of logic and head up the mountain. Now, there are a couple of reasons why you might want to do this. Of course, going out of logic is not necessarily a bad thing. Could give you extra information if you find anything here, as you know that it's probably lamp-locked or perhaps flute-locked. But another reason why Magi might be doing this is because they've still only got 4 hearts, and heading into the Dark World with only 4 hearts is sometimes a scary proposition. But it does look like Rezus is going to continue on here. They don't have a Fire Rod, so they won't be able to clear Skullwoods here, so I imagine their next play is going to be into Thieves Town. Meanwhile, Magi is going to be able to full clear almost everything in the Lightworld Death Mountain. They're even going to be able to do a Spike Cave if they so choose, although we're going to have to make some routing decisions here. They'll also be able to clear the Tower of Hera dungeon, which is required. Magi making some excellent use of hook speed, lifting that bomb to get up those stairs a little bit faster. And Rezus is going to make a dip into the front of Skullwoods. Now, of course, Skullwoods not a full clearable dungeon, but Ray is going to check the front here for any possible progression. Didn't quite see what was in Spec Rock here, but Magi is going to go grab it. It is the Quake Medallion. We'll see if that ends up being relevant later. And interesting, Magi actually going to elect to saves and quit out of there and continues on the mountain. Okay, instead of doing a bomb jump or anything like that. Okay. Rezu's gonna hop a ride on the Wallmaster here to get out of this part of the dungeon. Magi is going to continue on with the rest of the Lightworld Death Mountain checks. Rezus has to be a little bit careful here, as, again, they've only got 3 hearts, but they managed that mummy statue room very well without taking any damage. Nice use of the boomerang as well, as it stuns those Gibdos. Meanwhile, Magi is going to check all of these items here on Paradox Cave. It looks like Rezus picked up a mushroom somewhere along the way. We'll see when they end up turning that in. Paradox Cave coming up pretty much totally empty. That's actually surprising, given that there's so many chests there. Magi trying to set up for that bomb jump, but unfortunately falls down. Are they going to try for it again? No, they're just going to abort and do this the vanilla way. Okay, Rezus is doing a there is another glove on Lumberjack. That is, excuse me, not Lumberjack, on Bumper Cave Ledge. That is spicy. It does mean that our runners are going to need to find the magic cape in order to get those mitts to finish the game. That is definitely a crucial piece of knowledge to have, though. Those Titan's mitts are going to unlock a lot of checks in the later game. So we'll see when our runners manage to run into the magic cape. And, okay, I was wondering why Rezus was dashing up here, but apparently he found the magic cape right off the bat in C-shaped house, so just gonna go right over and grab those mitts right now. Why not? Have to be a little bit careful, these murderdactyls, as we call them. But manages to dodge them just fine, despite a miss of the hookshot. Magi is into Tower of Hera. Now, this does mean that when Rayzeus does decide to go up the mountain, they are going to have the mitts, so they are going to be able to clear out much more, as they are going to be able to do the Dark World Death Mountain checks. So we'll see if that ends up paying off. So far, Magi coming up blank on this first mountain trip. Rayzeus has to be a little bit careful here, only has half a heart. Okay, gets out of that alive. Very nice Harapot setup by Magi, bombing themselves in and clipping 1 pixel into that fountain. Lets them skip most of that dungeon, most of the Tower of Hera, with the aid of a bomb and the hook shot. Looks like both items remain in Tower of Hera, which does mean that Magi is going to be leaving an item behind here. Unfortunately, there will be an item locked, fire-locked by the fire rod or lamp. Hopefully it's not something important, as they don't even have the opportunity to do it here. Although I do see a lot of runners skip that item, as it is a relatively slow check. Rayzeus, in the meantime, stepping into Thieves' Town. Has to be a little bit careful. Got messed up a little bit by that red Zazak. Magi finding a heart container on Moldorm. So no progression up here on the mountain, unfortunately, but at the very least they'll feel a little bit more comfy when they do decide to dive into the Dark World. This is a little bit of a stressful moment for Rayzeus, as they definitely don't want to take any deaths in this dungeon. Back down to 2 hearts, almost takes another hit there, actually. Rayzeus, nice game knowledge, knows that there's a heart on that left-hand pot there, so they're back up to 3 hearts. And collects another one, so it looks like they're fine. Magi finding the magic mirror in their last check on the mountain. That is interesting. So that opens up quite a few things, actually. That is a full clearable Swamp Palace for Magi. And I imagine they're going to elect to do that kind of right off the bat after Hype Cave. You're right here, you might as well do it, right? I was about to say that Magi kind of found nothing on the mountain, but that mirror could actually swing things in a wild direction depending on what's in Swamp Palace. Ray accidentally missing that bomb, throws it a little bit too close, gonna have to try again, and gets it that time, with a nice dash out of the door. So where are we at here? Ooh, Ray has to be a little bit careful. So Ray's got access to the Titan's Mitts. Magi's got access to the mirror. Honestly, I feel like Ray's route is going to work out a little bit better here, as they are probably going to go up the mountain next. There's about 1 billion checks up there. Of course, it's still out of logic without a lamp or flute, but I imagine that has to be calling to them pretty hard at this point, given that they have basically everything except for TR doable there. And that means they are, you know, almost assuredly going to be finding their mirror there. And so they'll just manage to get their mirror at that point, and then probably dive into Swamp at that time, I imagine. Whereas Magi will have to make a separate trip up the mountain, but there is one thing that could work out for Magi, which is once they get their mitts, they are going to have the mirror, and they might want to elect to do Smith Chain at that point. If that has something big, that's something that could take Rayzeus a lot longer to get to. Rayzeus, let's see how they do on this fight against Blind. This is, of course, a scripted fight, so if you practice it, it should be able to be executed the same every time, unless you get off script. It's like Ray maybe lost a few frames on that second phase, but otherwise looks good. This is the last hit on the third phase, but has plenty of health to finish the fight out. Maji has to be a little bit careful here in Swamp Palace. They are actually still going to go for the Specky Clip, so they're actually only going to be at half a heart here. I didn't actually realize that Thieves Town was a pendant dungeon, so Rezus didn't actually necessarily have to complete that dungeon, but I guess decided to do that. I guess wants to be more thorough. I didn't actually see how many items were in the front versus the back, so it could have just made sense based on the item count. Maji making great use of the Cane of Burna there to remain safe. Definitely don't want to be taking any deaths here. Alright, and Ray looks like they are actually going to pick up the Smith here. Interesting, so they are then going to be putting off going to the mountain? It's a little bit surprising. I would have expected them to just prioritize going up the mountain as there's so many items up there. But I guess this works too. They are going to have to dash over here back to Kakariko to turn in the Smith, though. But I guess this is more efficient overall. Right? If you are here, you might as well make use of it to pick up the Smith. And the Ice Rod is on hammer pegs. All right, that was required. Unfortunately, it does mean that they're kind of going to be isolating the purple chest. Alright, Maji not really finding anything here in Swamp Palace, but again, this is a full clearable crystal dungeon, and it is one of the red crystals as well. Rezus taking this opportunity to check King's Tomb, which is just 20 rupees. And it looks like Rezus is also going to do the mushroom turn-in at the potion shop. Maji going to fight and try to take down Argus here. Keeps it nice and simple with single slashes. And phase 2 will just take 2 spins. It looks like Rezus is going to elect to save scum this mushroom, so we're going to do a hard reset. So they will be able to keep that mushroom in their inventory. So if they get the Cane of Samaria later on, they'll be able to do a fake powder glitch to check the magic bat without access to the magic powder. Maji does take home their third crystal of the seed. Almost heads up, but then remembers that they can check Balmo's tablet here. This is actually a very relevant check. If something is here, Rezus is probably not going to get to it for a while, as they are a long ways away from getting their mirror on the mountain. They've still got a ways to go before they get there. It's Silvers. Alright, that's somewhat important, but not actually required. We'll see if Rezus ends up making it there after they finish Swamp Palace. I imagine they will, so they'll probably be happy to see that in a while from now. Rezus is gonna actually stay off the mountain, continue to stay off the mountain here. And this looks like they are wanting to either... This looks like they are actually wanting to dash over to Palace of Darkness. Interesting. Wouldn't have expected this, actually. As Palace of Darkness does only have a green pendant. Is also going to check Pyramid Ledge, not a bad idea, although it is going to mean that Catfish, our lovely friend Catfish, who many of us actually hate, is going to be pretty isolated on Rezus' side, unless they're going there right away, which I can't imagine is possibly the plan here. Meanwhile, Maji is going to be going over to Dig Game. They are actually going to have the option to mirror after this and just head straight up to the Kakariko portal instead of having to do a separate save and quit, so they're actually going to be able to save a little bit of time on that. So Rezus making the plunge into Pendant Pod. We'll see if this ends up paying out for them. This is their second Pendant Dungeon, actually. It's also, unfortunately, going to be a little bit more awkward for them to route as they don't have the mirror on hand. Pod, kind of a dungeon where you ideally want to warp back to the front, you know, a couple times as you're routing through it, depending on the key layout. They do only have 6 hearts, though, so they want to, probably not going to be too hard to set up any death warps. Hope you all are enjoying this watch through of the seed so far. I'm gonna see if I can try to get try and just get a few of these mentee matches, Metro Tournament matches, just rebroadcast with some commentary for those of you who weren't able to catch these matches live or were just busy watching some other matches, as there are quite a lot of matches going on, as we've got 4 different brackets going on. So Rezus is going to go through the front of Palace of Darkness. It generally has a bunch of keys, 4 keys at the very least, in fact, so... Haji, in the meantime, is going to make their way through the front of Skull Woods, so pretty much doing the same thing that Rezus did. And there's that mushroom. And I imagine they... well, we'll see if they end up scouting out that those mitts on Bumper Cave Ledge. If they don't, could be a pretty big gap in knowledge, as those mitts are definitely going to be important. Let's see if they decide to make the decision to scout it out. And they do. Alright, that's good. Alright, Rezu's finding the lamp in Pod. Alright, so that puts everything into logic, actually. It's actually also probably really great to see, as they'll make navigating these dark rooms in the back of Pod and potentially on the way to Helmasaur much easier. Rezus, unfortunately, struggling a little bit to juggle these hard hat beetles along with laying the bomb there. He gets it the second time. Maji is going to be able to check Graveyard Ledge here. That could have been important here, but is just a red rupee. We'll see if Rezus finds anything relevant in the back of Pod here. Now that lamp could actually end up being required, particularly if the Fire Rod is locked behind it. It does allow us to take down Lanmo and get that less... the last item in Desert Palace is on the right side, that's correct. So Lanmo just has a crystal for us right now, so that's probably not super relevant, but this does mean that when Rezus does go up the mountain, they will be able to get that second item in the Tower of Hera, if they do so choose. I imagine they probably won't, though, given that they won't yet have the mirror, probably, based on their routing. And they probably will be wanting to get to those spicy Dark World Death Mountain checks, as that's quite a bit of density in Super Bunny Cave and Hookshot Cave. Alright, Maji does find their magic cape. They are also going to actually run straight over... okay, not going to run straight over here. I was going to say, for Maji, it probably makes the most sense to... well, I don't know, actually. What order do you do this in? Because I think for Maji, you can also just... I guess it doesn't matter what order you do these in. You want to do Village of Outcast, Thieves Town, and pick up your mitts, but then after that, They could just do all of Smith Chain. I imagine they will, actually, given that they don't have a ton of other options besides, I guess, going to Ice Palace? That might not be a bad option, actually. That'd also give them the red crystal in order to check Pyramid Fairy. Alright, so Reizu's finally making the call to go up the mountain. So we'll see if they find anything on Dark Death Mountain once they finish the Light World side. So both runners kind of retreading each other's steps again here, but I guess so far the main point of divergence is Maji has finished Swamp Palace. Didn't find anything there, but full cleared Swamp Palace with the aid of that mirror that they found off the mountain. Whereas Reizus decided to take a dip into Pendant Pod. Did not decide to full clear, and instead left an item behind on Helmsaur, as well as the green pendant. It's reasonable, as you know, it's kind of a long time to spend. Oh, Reizus with a pretty slick setup for that bomb jump. Nice. That is going to give them a little bit of an advantage, as Maji was having to do an extra save and quit instead of using that bomb jump. Always nice to see these little execution tricks, even picked up by these mentees. All right, so Maji is going to pick up their mitts. And is deciding, kind of seems to be lost in thought, whether they want to go ahead and do Smith Chain or maybe dive into Pendant Thieves Town. It is true, they have a lot of options actually here. They could prioritize, they could go into Ice. Oh no, they don't have Bombos yet. Where was Bombos? I guess that must have been Thieves Town then. Are they going to go into Thieves Town, or are they just going to do Smith Chain? Looks like they're just going to do Smith Chain, actually. I wonder if this could be a situation where Reizus is going to get to go to Ice Palace and then Pyramid Fairy, but Maji is going to have to put that off as they don't have Bombos, which I assume have to be in Thieves Town, right? Maji is going to pick up their Ice Rod here, so that'll be nice. Never want to have to hunt for that at the end of the game. And with the aid of the mirror, Maji is going to be able to, after doing the Smith turning here, which is already faster than Reizus could have done it with, because Reizus had to save and quit. Maji is also going to be able to pick up the purple chest here. Maji going into Magic Bat, but definitely can't check it. They don't have the Cane of Samaria. So that's probably not going to work. They do have a cane, but it is unfortunately of the wrong color. Maji realizing that now. Whoops. Reizus failing on the first Herapod attempt. Did they get messed up by the bomb? Okay, they just messed up their setup a little bit. Happens to the best of us. Alright, Maji picking up the purple chest and is going to save and quit to turn it in. Makes a lot of sense, as they've already done everything else along the way, so no need to kind of dash over to turn that in. In the meantime, Reizus is going to find that there is an item guaranteed locked in the basement here of Hera. Ooh, unfortunately misses that little bumper skip. We'll see if they manage to go for it again or just decide to play it safe. Okay, lines it up more carefully this time. Nice job. Maji just getting a red rupee from purple chest. So far, all of the differences in routing not really paying out dividends. Nothing that these runners, have differed on has really paid off in terms of, items that are kind of exclusively on each other's path. The main one is going to be that lamp that Rezus has. I imagine it's probably going to be a while before Maji goes and dives into Pendant Pod. Although, since they don't have Bombos, that actually might not be true. They might actually want to go ahead and do that after they finish all of these Dark World Death Mountain checks, which we're going to get a look at right here. So far, really that lamp is the main advantage that Rezus has. Maji is kind of ahead on crystal count. Ooh, unfortunately Rezus missing the coffee break glitch, although, oh no, they don't have the mirror, so they are intentionally taking damage here to set up for Death Warp. That makes sense. Alright, Maji giving us our first peek at the items in Super Bunny Cave. It's going to be 300 rupees and the Cane of Samaria. That is really interesting. Ooh, if Quake opens up TR, that's actually access into Turtle Rock. That could be interesting. What if Bombos is access into Turtle Rock? Then only Rezus will be able to access it. Ooh, this could be big if progression's in TR. Alright, let's see what's in Hookshot Cave. A lot of health. Okay, that's not unwelcome. There's the magic powder. Of course, you find it right after you have the ability to do fake powder. Alright, Maji. Yeah, you better go check the medallion for Turtle Rock. Oh, but Maji doesn't have enough magic to open this up. And it's Quake! Uh-oh. Maji, you don't have enough magic here. There was a full magic refill available in Super Bunny Cave, actually, right next to those two chests. But Maji's not going to have enough magic to open this up. This could be really bad if there's progression locked inside TR. I think, yeah, Maji realizing that they don't have enough magic for the medallion and just going to have to leave that behind. Ooh. We'll be seeing later on if that bites them. Now, Rezus should have the magic to do that. Interestingly enough, both runners electing to stay away from Spike Cave for now. Or I guess Rezus could still get to it after the right side, yeah. But Maji did not elect to dash over and do Spike Cave either. So that could be another relevant point here. Looks like Maji is going to stay out of Beevetown and instead elect to go and do Palace of Darkness. Alright, Rezu's picking up that full magic. Didn't actually need it, but they definitely know it's there. Maji making nice use of that hook speed to check the item on Pyramid Ledge faster. Okay, Rezus peeking at the medallion before going into Hookshot Cave. Interesting. I wonder if they are going to... I wonder if they're going to commit to dipping into TR or not. I feel like for Maji, you kind of really wanted to, but for Ray, it's not as clear as they still have all of Swamp Palace and Ice Palace clearable to them, as well as, the Crystal from Lanmo. Looks like they are going to take a peek. All right. This could end up big. Maji is going to stop at Potion Shop to get a refill after turning in the mushroom. All right, Turtle Rock. Now, of course, the two chests on the right side, the Fire Rod locked side of Turtle Rock are not going to be accessible to Rayzeus. So this all kind of hinges on what the first chest contains. If it's just a big key or a map or anything, or just an item, Rayzeus will not be able to go further. But if it's a small key, Rayzeus can go further. And if Chain Chomps is also a small key, Rayzeus could potentially go all the way to Laser Bridge. We'll see if they decide to do that though, since they do have some full clearable crystals. It is a small key. Oh! And they're electing to just leave. I don't know about that. I feel like if you're taking the time to dive into TR and you find a small key, you gotta follow through. Otherwise, you might as well just stay out of it, right? But at the same time, Ray does have some other priorities as well. Not the worst thing for them to come back. Hopefully with the Fire Rod on hand. Alright, Maji gonna be checking Magic Bat here. Ray is gonna be choosing to do Spike Cave. This is something that Maji left behind. That's the red mail, alright. Definitely not required, but nice to have. Now Ray is going to be doing some crystal clearing. Looks like they're going to elect to do Swamp Palace first. Interesting decision. I feel like I would have done Ice Palace first, as if you do Ice Palace and then Swamp, you can just dash straight up from Swamp Palace to route into Pyramid Fairy. Whereas if you do it in this order, after finishing Ice, you'd have to take another save and quit to get back there. They could also be thinking of doing Swamp into Clearing Desert. No, I don't think that makes sense, because you could just run into your flute later. Interesting. Alright, Maji actually didn't go into Pod, decided to check Pyramid Ledge and then Catfish. And it looks like they got their first bottle at Catfish, question mark? It looks like they already checked Sick Kid, but it was nothing. Okay. But instead of doing Pod, they did Pyramid Ledge, and Catfish. And now are going into Pendant Thieves Town, which has 2 items in the back. Interesting. Would have expected them to go into Pod instead, as there's 5 items there compared to the 2 items in Thieves Town. But maybe they don't want to go into Palace of Darkness with no light source on hand, which is definitely understandable. I do believe Bombos was here in Thieves Town, so I imagine if they grab that, with that in hand, they're going to be heading over to Ice Palace. Now Maji did elect to leave behind a single chest on the left side of Swamp Palace, as that is those 2 chests over there are pretty slow to check. We'll see if Rayzeus does the same. Looks like they are going to head straight to the back here. Most people, I think, if there's only 1 item left in left side Swamp, are kind of inclined to leave that behind, so I imagine Rayzeus will be doing that here. Especially given that they have a full clearable Crystal Ice Palace, which is another red crystal at that. Does find the big key and decides to just keep going, which makes sense. Okay, Maji going to the big chest in Thieves Town. Was this where Bombos was? Let's see. No, it's just the map. Alright. Maybe Bombos was on blind? This is what happens when you do these rewatches just by yourself without any official trackers. I'm really glad that these runners do have their chest counts marked. That makes things a lot easier for me. Alright, Rayzeus entering their fight with Argus. No fancy strats for Rayzeus either, just gonna keep it simple with single slashes, and Maji is going to get started with their fight in blind. We've got simultaneous boss fights here. Maji, missing the first part of that blind script. Has plenty of health to make it through this, though, so I'm not really concerned for them. Alright, Rayzeus gets a bottle with the oh, that's where that bottle was from. Okay, so the bottle was not at Catfish, it was on Swamp Palace, that's right. Alright, and there is that Bottomless Medallion from Maji, which I imagine they are going to take straight to Ice Palace, and they don't have... their only other options... Their only other real option is Pendant Pod. Okay, Rayzeus gonna check out Bottomless Medallion, or Bottomless Tablet here. So from where we're at here, I feel like... So Rayzeus got the lamp out of Pod, but so far that hasn't actually been relevant. The only thing that they can do with it is clear Desert Palace, which they are doing now. It's not a bad thing. They also left behind a single item on the right side. So I guess they're going to go and clear Landmo and then pick up that last item. That's kind of the main thing that Ray has going for them, but Maji is ahead on the dungeons. Both runners did not step into Turtle Rock. Maji because they didn't have magic on hand, and Ray because... Or no, Ray did step into Turtle Rock, but elected to not continue after the first chest. That Quake Medallion was the first one we found as well, so I wonder if something's hiding out in TR. Alright, we're gonna get our first look into Ice Palace on Maji's side. Using the hookshot to clear those pen gators, and we've got just a small key. Now Maji does have the Cane of Samaria on hand, so they are going to be able to do the Icebreaker Clip if they so desire, which I imagine they will, as it makes this dungeon quite a lot faster. They are going to elect to hit the Crystal Switch, which has some advantages and disadvantages. I'm not going to bore you all with the long details of that, as I have an hour-long video on my YouTube channel talking about that, but... Alright, and... Meanwhile, Rayzeus is going to use the Silver Arrows against Landmo. Ooh, misses that first one, and the third one. Unfortunate. It does clean it up. Maji, on the other side, is going to do a successful Icebreaker Clip. We'll see what is lying here in Ice Palace. I imagine after this, Maji is either going to find... let's see, what are we missing here? We are missing that Fire Rod, right? Still no flute either, but since Misermire is a pendant dungeon, that is not necessarily going to be required, so it's really down to who can dig out this Fire Rod. Okay, Rayzeus is going to go back in for that item that they left behind on right side. I imagine they're probably going to breathe a sigh of relief when they realize that it is just a red rupee, as this is something that they kind of have to have had to have on the back of their minds for a while. Alright, Maji just finding a piece of heart and ice. There's only one item left in Ice Palace. Alright, I imagine Ray is probably going to be following suit into Ice Palace now. The main other thing that Ray has on Maji is that they have already gone into Palace of Darkness. That's, of course, where they found that lamp. So there's nothing here in Ice. Maji's probably going to be doing Pyramid Fairy, but then their next step has to probably be Pod, right? At this point. So if nothing's on Pyramid Fairy, they'll go to Pod and be retracing in the footsteps of Rayzeus, but I imagine at that point they're probably going to want to defeat Helmasaur for the item and the green pendant. So that could end up being very relevant. Okay, just a compass in the big chest of Ice Palace. And Magi is gonna get started with their fight against Cold Stare. There's no Fire Rod to help them out here, but they do have access to the Magic Cape if they want to use it, and they've also just got a Tempered Sword, which is definitely what you want to have while fighting Cold Stare. Nails that first spin. Gets hit by the ice blocks twice. They have to be a little bit careful here. Oh. Yeah, deciding to drink that potion just to be safe. Not a bad idea. Rayzeus also choosing to hit the Crystal Switch here. General wisdom that I've heard is that it's better to hit the Crystal Switch if you are... it makes the boss easier to get to, but it makes Ice-T a little bit slower to get to. These runners are both in Go mode -1, essentially, given that they just need to find the Fire Rod, so that could be what they're kind of banking on. Alright, Magi probably gonna do Pyramid Fairy into Pod, I have to imagine, right? And on Rayzeus' side, they have a couple of other things to clean up. They've already been to Pod, so it's gonna be a little bit more of a tricky situation for them. They've got I guess they can do Catfish after Pyramid Fairy, but they've also got some other cleanup to do. They haven't checked Graveyard Ledge. And they've also got Sick Kid and Magic Bat to do back in Kakariko Village, as well as Cave 45, which is kind of an awkward outlier for them right now. Ooh, Rayzeus forgetting that they don't have the big key, which is at Ice-T, and they did not elect to do the bomb jump, so they are going to have to go around the long way. This is actually going to cost them a little bit. So if you don't have the big key, you definitely don't want to drop down to the big chest. You want to do a bomb jump across, as that's the fastest way from Freezer Chest to Ice-T. This is a mistake I make all the time, though, not realizing that I don't have the big key because I just didn't remember. Alright, Magi going to be doing the 2 checks at Pyramid Fairy. Is this where our Fire Rod is? Rayzeus remembering that the switch... thankfully remembering that they can't go back that way because of the Crystal Switch. Nothing at Pyramid Fairy, just a green potion. So Magi's going to be off to Pod then. And there's not much else left. But we've already seen Spike Cave. So we're down to... I guess we're down to Helmasaur, Green Pendant, one item in Left Side Swamp, and Turtle Rock. And I have to imagine, just based on the numbers, that it's probably Turtle Rock, right? I mean, I guess Chain Chomps could just be a Maverick Compass, and then TR has nothing left. We'll have to see. If it's not on Turtle Rock, then odds are that it's on Helma or Green Pendant Turn-In, which Magi is pretty much almost surely gonna do here. So I kind of like Magi's position here in this race. All right, Rayzeus going to be grabbing that second red crystal. course, Rezus has taken down Lanmo, so it's a little bit it's a little bit difficult to judge exactly who's in the lead here. But there's only a few places that this Fire Rod can be behind. Alright, Rezus is going to be doing, looking like they're going to be choosing to do Pyramid Fairy into Pyramid Ledge. Or sorry, Pyramid Fairy into Catfish, which makes a lot of sense. This is 3 checks that they can do as a string. They could even elect to hookshot over after Catfish and do Graveyard Ledge if they're worried about that. Magi going to be making their way through Palace of Darkness. Probably going to get a little chuckle when they find the lamp. Although it hasn't really been relevant, as we haven't had to do, you know, Misery Mire or TR. Alright, nice dash line by Magi to avoid all the spikes, and Rezus making use of hook speed to get into the Pyramid Fairy checks as soon as possible. I'm just gonna find, oh, there was not a green bottle at Pyramid Fairy. There was just that was just Magi throwing the bottle in earlier. I apologize. So it's just 40 rupees in Pyramid Fairy. Alright, Magi making their way to the back of Pod now, armed with that lamp. He's gonna chuck a bomb over there to open the bombable wall on the way. Not a bad idea. And Rezus is gonna find that Catfish doesn't have anything. Ooh, goes for a very aggressive, quick fish setup, but misses it a little bit. Does bonk into the wall just in case they need to mirror out, but yeah, it looks like they're going to take the chance to hookshot over to Graveyard Ledge, which makes sense. At this point in the game, you probably don't want to be leaving anything behind. For Rezus, the only things left are yeah, but I mean, both runners really don't have that much left. I guess Magi is probably expecting to find something in Pod here, as that's their densest play, aside from TR. They're just gonna find that there's one item on Helmasaur, and they're gonna do it, right? Yeah. You kinda have to. Although they are going through the Bowlock side again. Okay, interesting. Did they not already go this way? Huh. Okay. Correctly realizing that they don't need to go this way and that they can just go through the middle. Okay. Rezus probably... I don't know. You're kind of relieved to find that your Fire Rod isn't in any of these locations, but at the same time, you're kind of stressed out because you want to find it. There's this interesting tension when you get to the later parts of a seed where you're just looking for your 1-co mode item, and the more you check, the more unlucky you feel. And at that point, you actually want your last item to be in the worst place possible, because it means that you, both you and your opponent are likely to basically last location it. Pretty much the only... So Rezus is going to finish up these Kakariko checks. Magi is going to go to Helmasaur. The only relevant item here besides the Fire Rod is the Flute, which will open up access to Mire Shed, Checkerboard Cave, and of course Misery Mire. So that'll be pretty straightforward to go to as soon as we get that Flute. That will also put Pet into logic once we get that Flute, actually. that could actually be very relevant. And the fact that Rezus left behind left pod without doing Helma could definitely come into play, even if there's not an item on either of these two. Fire Rod could be on Ped. Alright, Maji gonna be doing this Helma fight. Gonna be 17 hammer hits to the mask in order to beat phase 1. Gets knocked around a little bit by those fireballs, but no big deal as they've got plenty of life, and a single silver arrow is enough to take down phase 2. Rezus not saving and quitting with the purple chest because they still have a K45 to do on the way, and Helmasaur just has a heart container, but we'll see if this green pendant turn-in is the answer, and if it is, Maji is solidly ahead. Though the options are getting pretty bad here for both of our runners. Maji can pick up their crystal from Desert Palace, but there's no real reason to do that at this point. As soon as you run into your... the green pendant turn-in is just a red rupee. So Maji just has Spike Cave... Hera Basement, that's right. Neither runner has checked... No, Ray checked Hera Basement. Right, and they set up for Death Warp, so Hera Basement was nothing either. So Maji still has Spike Cave, which we know is nothing, Hera Basement, which we know is nothing, Left Side Swamp, one item in Left Side Swamp, which could actually be it. And we have Turtle Rock. So I imagine Maji is going to do Spike Cave and Hera first, and then dive into TR? And Rezus is going to go back for the item in Left Side Swamp? This is crazy. There's only one item there, but if it's, if it's there, Rezus pretty much has this, right? I would have expected Ray to go for the 2 items that you can get by doing Palace of Darkness. But they're going for this 1 item Left Side Swamp. Now, they don't know it, but this is actually kind of one of their best shots at winning here. Maji is going to have to wait through this cutscene. Rezus has already checked that, as well as Spike Cave. And remember, Rezus is also up ahead, is also up a Landmo clear on Maji. Okay, Rezus finds that the item... Oh, okay, I guess this makes sense if... that's right, Rezus hadn't checked the big chest yet, and they had the big key, so... There was definitely a non-zero chance that the item is just in the big chest, and then you get to leave without having to do left side, so... Knowing that actually does make this a little bit more appealing, so I can see why Rezus did this for sure. Right, Maji gonna do Spike Cave. Rezus doing Left Side Swamp. If this is the Fire Rod, Rezus has got this. If it's the flute... Oh, if this is flute, that could either be really good or really bad. Alright, Maji, gonna have to walk out of Spike Cave. Oh, Alexa save and quit instead. Okay, you can actually walk out of Spike Cave and do a hook speed or super speed. Oh, are they not gonna do TR? Wait, what? Where's Maji going? This is a ped check? But we don't... This can't be right. A ped check? I mean, it's not yet relevant because we don't have the... Did they leave something behind? Huh, I'm a little bit confused. Okay, Rezus exits Left Side Swamp with nothing to show for it, but is gonna go back for TR. And at this point, it has to be TR, right? We've checked everything else. Maji can't do the back of Skull Woods. Did they leave this behind? They didn't check. Oh, they didn't check this middle chest. Oh no, this is we already checked this on Reizu's side, so this is nothing for sure. Ooh, this is gonna hurt. Ouch. Maji was already up there on the mountain. They could have made it to TR faster. I didn't realize that they hadn't checked that middle chest. Oh, and now they're going to TR. Oh, this is heartbreaking. And Reizus has gotta be feeling the pressure too, actually. They've gotta be kicking themselves for not having looked at this earlier. Although they do still have, they don't know that Helma doesn't have anything, so they're... Actually, they went here knowing that Helma doesn't have anything? Interesting. I guess that makes sense, actually. Although, yeah, I imagine they have to be kicking themselves. It's the flute! Alright, so it's gotta be in Mire area. Or on Ped. And Reizus... Yeah, Reizus is in the lead. Maji was that close to being ahead, but decided to check that middle chest in Skull Woods instead of going to TR. Oh, they don't have enough magic again. Okay, this time they have a green potion. Oh, this really sucks for both runners. Reizus could have kept going. They definitely could have kept going in Turtle Rock earlier with that small key. I wonder if that was just a slip up and they didn't realize they could. And Maji didn't have enough magic the first time. So Maji gonna be picking up their flute, but it's gonna be kind of firmly behind Ray at this point. I'm not sure if they'll be able to make up this gap. Especially considering that they still need to do Lanmo. Also, they were behind, even if they hadn't done that Skull Woods check. Ether Medallion, okay. You gotta check your board first at this. Yeah, you gotta check your board first at this rate, right? So Maji, yeah, that's right. Ray is up ahead, a Lanmo clear. So really, Reizus is basically ahead because they cleared. They didn't have to go back to Skull Woods like Maji did, but also because they skipped Helmasaur. That's like one of the big differences here. I mean, sure, their routes to get to this situation were definitely different, but they ended up doing most of the same things, except Ray didn't do Helma, although they did have to do Left Side Swamp, which Maji hasn't done. But there's no way you're doing that now with the flute on hand, right? Yeah. I wonder if both of these, yeah, this. It's crazy because both of these runners probably would have had that flute on hand a lot earlier if they had had a mentor in their ear. You know, on Maji's side to remind them to pick up that full magic in Super Bunny Cave, and Reizus, on Reizus' end, having a mentor push them towards continuing on in Turtle Rock. Alright, so Reizus just has to figure out where this fire rod is. It's either in Mire or on Ped. Nowhere else it can be. Although, for Reizus, they have got to be thinking that they've got to be pretty worried about Helma and Green Pendant at this point, but they are probably going to be breathing I don't know if you would breathe a sigh of relief at finding it at this point, actually. Knowing that you could have had that flute so much earlier, I think both sides have probably got to be feeling pretty behind now. Okay, Ray finds half magic. Alright, so just one more item left in Mire. We did already get the big key. I don't think Ray has checked Compass Chest yet. This is an interesting route. But it does. Oh, I guess this makes sense if you wanna do cutscene chest before Vitreous. So they're putting off both cup and chest. They're basically putting off the left side. Yeah, this makes sense. And there's the fire rod. So Rayzus is in go mode at 124.42 about. Maji decides to finish Desert Palace first. Oh, this makes sense because they... Wait. I guess this is... okay, they might as well do it, yeah. But they are going to have to still go to Mire and get their fire rod out of there. I guess this does make sense because then you don't have to walk... you don't have to walk from the entrance of Mire to Desert again. You can just exit out of Mire and then flute away from there. Right. So Ray has to finish Go Woods and then go mode TR. This is wild. Alright. Ray finally going into Back of Skull Woods. Maji is going to head into Misery Mire. Okay, pretty confident execution of that mummy room by Rayzus. Very nice. Gets hit by that mini Moldorm, but everyone hates that guy, or at least I do. Doesn't need to get the key from that Gibdo, as all they're looking for is to defeat Moth, and they already had a key on hand. Let's see how this Moth fight goes. Right, goes for a dash there. Moth, unfortunately, is hanging out around the top of the arena, which is usually not what you want, as... Okay, that actually worked out pretty nicely. I was gonna say, you generally don't want Moth to be hanging around in those spikes, as it does make her invulnerable to damage, pretty much. That was a pretty quick fight. Alright, and the Fire Rod was, what was it, Map Chest, I believe, in Misery Mire? Alright, Rayzus just gonna float away to the mountain and head to TR for third time this seed. It's hard to guess exactly what's going through these runners' minds at this point, but if I were in Rayzus' position, I'd be pretty nervous, knowing that you left behind your flute for so long, and that this is your third time to Turtle Rock. I mean, you're glad that it wasn't at a Helmasaur for sure, but this situation doesn't feel much better. And on top of that, there's no mentor to, you know, be guiding your way. You might be second guessing yourself. Okay, Maji is going to do Compass Chest here in Misery Mire. If they decide to do Cutscene Chest after this, that could cost them. Okay, it looks like they're not going to do that. Okay. Which makes a lot of sense, especially since you're one from Go mode, right? Alright, Ray is in Turtle Rock for the third time. Has to collect these two chests on the Fire Rod locked side. Looks like they're gonna make use of the hook shot to fall down into the pit. That's faster than solving that torch lighting puzzle the vanilla way. A nice cape dash to get through those rollers more quickly. And cape dash is back. Nice to see. A lot of people will use the magic mirror after getting those two chests, which is normally faster if you haven't checked the compass chest on the bottom left there, but if you're just going here this route, this route is actually not faster with the magic mirror, I believe. I do have a video coming out on that soon. Shameless plug. Alright, Maji is off to Skull Woods. I have to imagine Maji is kind of kicking themselves for not realizing the magic situation. I wonder if they know about the that full magic in Super Bunny Cave. It's possible they do know about it, but they just didn't think about it at the time, because you generally go to TR and just end up having enough magic to open it without even thinking about it, because you know TR is usually one of your later dungeons. This has so many requirements to complete it. But I have to imagine Maji's really kicking themselves for that one. Hopefully they manage to still stick it out with the rest of this though. Rezus making use of the iframes from standing on those pegs. Ooh, barely manages to do that fast enough to avoid getting hit by the crystal rollers. Oh, Maji having a little bit of a close call there with the Wall Master, but makes it okay. And is just gonna go for slashes against Mothula. Ooh, Mothula again not playing super nice, hanging out along the top of that room, and like I said, she doesn't take any damage when she's there. All right, looks like she's kind of out of the spikes at this point. All right, nice. Maji finishes the fight. Rezus going to just use the magic cape for laser bridge, and just needs that first chest, as of course they are in go mode. All they needed was that key. Nice usage of the Cane of Samaria to get a double hit on the crystal switches. And Rezus is going to come into their fight against Trinex. 5 tempered slashes will do it for each head. Rezus even gives it a 6th one for good measure. Gets hit by that main head, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. They've got plenty of health. Looks like they're setting up for an attempt at a double spin on Trinex's head, which is vulnerable right when Trinex first spawns. Does manage to get the double spin. Pretty nice fight. Alright, Maji going up through Super Bunny Cave to get to Turtle Rock. Interesting. This actually means they're going to have to mirror back to the light world right outside of Turtle Rock in order to open it. Because they still need to do that, right? Interesting choice. I feel like the conventional play would be to go up through Paradox Cave and stay in the light world, but... Alright, and Rezus is going to be coming up into Ganon's Tower here. Alright, Maji needs to... Oh, that's right, they already opened... Wait, they already opened TR before? Oh, that's right, of course, because they got the flute, yeah. So they had opened TR, alright, so no need for an additional mirror portal. That makes sense. Maji, you need to go to the right side for the keys. Okay, they do remember in time. Good. Easy to forget, you know, you've already been to this dungeon before, you're kind of assuming. But yeah, you do need to check these. Alright, looks like Rezus is going to take the Hope left route in Ganon's Tower. I'm gonna say no to that heart container. Oh, it looks like Magi tried to do a cape dash through those crystal rollers, but probably wasn't able to because of the cooldown on the magic cape. So the magic cape actually is not usable instantly unless you've selected it for at least, you know, half a second. But Rezus finds the Ganon's Tower big key relatively quickly in Stalfos' room. So they're going to be off and starting their climb at 134.44. They've got a commanding lead here. Although it probably doesn't feel like it to them. I don't know if either of these racers, you know, likes to have their race time, likes to be looking at the race time room, but if they are, they are probably relieved that their opponent hasn't, you know, hasn't finished yet. Definitely was possible to be in go mode a lot earlier in the seed, that's for sure. Ooh, some nice cape usage by Rezus to get through those spikes. And some more cape usage to get through those cannonballs. That is actually the fastest way through that room. And Ray is on to the so-called Gauntlet of Ganon's Tower. This is the area where you need to defeat all the enemies in each room to progress. This looks very, very practiced, as should be expected by the #1 seed of the gold bracket. Oh, as I say that, dashes into a spike, but should still be fine. Magi gonna take it a little bit safer with this crystal roller room. Rezus did a little bit more of an aggressive strat. Alright, Rezus setting up for a silver arrow kill on these landmos, and gets it. Very nice. Has the fire shield to protect them from the shooter in that room, which is very convenient. Alright, Magi making good use of that magic cape just to avoid an extra heart of damage. Very nice Wizrobe room by Rezus. And Magi is going to be heading to Trinex. Ooh, Rezus having a little bit of trouble with this Torches 1. Gotta wonder if the nerves are settling in for these two runners. It'll be interesting to see if both of them can keep their execution, you know, calm through the later parts of this, you know, Ganon's Tower. Alright, Magi fighting Trinex. Ooh, has a little bit of trouble with that ice head. Oh, it's moving around a lot. Okay, finally gets that last hit. Rezus skipping all these chests here, doesn't need anything else to finish the game, just needs to take down Voldorm. Very nice spin slash. Magi electing to take phase 2 of Trinex a little bit safer, not going for the double spin, which is understandable as they are only at 2.5 hearts. Still finishes it pretty quickly. Ooh, nice door dash by Rezus. And gets a very clean dash through those bumpers. Alright, and on to everyone's favorite wizard refight, Aghanim 2. Gets just a single there. Ooh, could have gotten more there, but only gets another single. Uh-oh, that doesn't feel that good. Again, I have to wonder if Ray's feeling the pressure here. Oh, and misses that double. That was an easy one. Okay, finishes the fight out okay. Laying bombs, this is a technique that I often use. If you get rid of all your bombs here, you get to quick swap a little bit faster between the silver arrows and the fire rod. Still has one bomb on hand though. Alright, we'll see if Maji does the same Hope Left route, or if they decide to go to the right side of Ganon's tower. It looks like they are going right, so unfortunately they're going to lose a little bit more time here. Alright, Ray into the Ganon fight. Alright, going for the double spin, but misses it. Oh no. Alright. Oh, gets hit by the trident. Keep it together, Ray. Alright, making use of the cape. Not a bad idea, as you've got half magic and silver arrows, so you've got plenty of magic. Just make use of all your resources. Maji getting a little bit bullied by those Gibdos on the other side. Ooh. Ray does have a fairy on hand in one of their bottles. So they're not really in that much danger, but I have to imagine their heart's probably pounding right now. This is their first bracket race. Alright, setting up for a single silver arrow hit, and using that quick swap narrowly avoids that fire bat. Ooh, trying to set up for a triple, and they only get the double. Alright, they're gonna have to relight the torch. Keep it calm. Oh, they missed that torch hit, okay. A little bit of nerves here, potentially, but they managed to finish out the fight. Alright, and Maji does manage to grab their big key, and that is when they decided to forfeit the match, as their opponent had finished. So GG's, congratulations to Rayzeus, who took the victory in this game 1. Apologize for this odd stream layout here. I would say to look forward to another cast of the rest of this series, as this is all these bracket matches are going to be best of 3, but unfortunately due to some unanticipated circumstances, Maji did decide to forfeit the rest of the series. There were some scheduling issues, as well as Maji actually got soft-locked during one of their seeds that they were running async, so they decided at that point to just forfeit the series, and so Rayzeus is going to be advancing into the quarterfinals of the Gold Sword bracket, still undefeated. Definitely a runner to look out for. They will be against the winner of Scatsman and Yassi89, and we'll see what their path forward in the bracket looks like. But that is going to do it for this rewatch. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the commentary, and yeah, see you next time.